The night was calm, and the people of Earth did not know that their world was about to change forever. The skies above were clear, stars shining like tiny diamonds, and cities below buzzed with normal life. But then, something strange happened. A bright flash appeared in the sky, far brighter than any star or satellite. At first, people thought it was a comet or some strange space debris. Families came out of their homes, children pointed fingers, and news channels rushed to capture the event. But the flash did not fade. Instead, it grew larger, burning hotter, as if the heavens themselves were tearing open. Within minutes, reports came from across the world. The same lights were appearing above every major city. It was no comet. It was an arrival in the control rooms of Earth's defense forces. Alarms screamed. Satellites in orbit went silent one after another, as if invisible hands were crushing them. Scientists and commanders stared at their screens horrified. Something was blocking their systems, something they had never seen before. Communication lines broke down, radar went blind, and even the most advanced telescopes could not get a clear picture. The enemy was not only here but also knew how to blind humanity before striking. Whispers filled the room. Was this an invasion? No one wanted to say it out loud, but deep down, they all knew the truth. The first strike came without warning. A beam of energy tore through the skies above the Pacific, burning through the clouds, and then slammed into an orbiting station. The station exploded in silence, scattering molten metal into the atmosphere. The people below watched in terror as streaks of fire rained down like shooting stars. But this was no natural beauty. It was war. Panic spread like wildfire across the globe. Crowds screamed and ran through the streets. Sirens wailed and military jets scrambled to the skies. But no matter how fast they moved, the enemy had already made the first move. Above Earth, the Armada revealed itself at last. Gigantic alien ships, black and silver, like floating fortresses, hovered in orbit. Their size was beyond imagination. Larger than any human-made vessel. Some ships looked like massive blades cutting through space, while others were shaped like claws gripping the stars. They did not hide, they did not speak, they only prepared. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy, charging for another strike. Humanity had seen wars before, but never like this. Inside a hidden base buried deep underground, the highest commanders of Earth gathered. Their faces were pale, their eyes hollow with fear, but their voices tried to remain steady. They watched. The first cities go dark as alien fire destroyed power grids and communication hubs. In some places, the sky itself seemed to burn as energy beams cut through the atmosphere, striking Earth's defenses. For the first time in centuries, humanity felt helpless. But not everyone was afraid. One old general leaned forward and whispered, words that chilled the room. They fired first. They do not understand what they have done. Far above, the aliens launched another strike. But this time they aimed at Earth's planetary shield project, a system still under construction. Within seconds, the defense system was reduced to ash, never even having a chance to activate. The alien commanders believed they had already broken Earth. They sent a message across their fleet, a simple one. Victory is certain. But they underestimated. Something they could not see. Something hidden so deep that even Earth's own people thought it was only a rumor. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for decades, not for exploration, not for peace, but for survival against exactly this kind of threat. On the ground, families huddled together, praying or crying, unsure if they would live to see the next sunrise. Soldiers stood ready with weapons that seemed too small compared to the massive warships above. Pilots flew into the sky, knowing most would not return. Yet even in the darkest hour, there was no surrender. Humans had always fought when pushed against the wall, and now the wall was burning. Across the world, humanity's anger began to rise, a storm of defiance building in silence. The aliens thought fear would break them, but instead it lit a fire. The Armada's weapons glowed again, ready to fire on Earth's capitals. Billions of people held their breath, waiting for the next wave of destruction. The skies were red now, burning with energy and fire, as if the world itself was being set ablaze. In that moment, humanity stared at its own end. But deep underground, hidden machines were waking up. Programs long buried under layers of secrecy began to activate. A soundless pulse spread through the earth, unseen and unnoticed by the invaders. Something ancient, something powerful, had been waiting. The first alien volley struck down, but before the beams reached their targets, they scattered into harmless light, dissolving in the sky like mist. Confusion spread across the alien fleet. Their weapons had never failed before. They fired again, stronger, but the same result. Their beams vanished, as if swallowed by the air itself. On Earth, the people looked up, confused, hopeful, not yet understanding what was happening. But the generals knew. They watched the hidden systems hum to life, and they allowed themselves a rare smile. Humanity was not broken. Humanity was only beginning, and then, for the first time, Earth answered back. The alien armada hung above Earth like a swarm of steel giants. Their weapons still glowed, but confusion had spread among their ranks. The beams that should have burned cities to ash had dissolved into nothing. They had never faced such resistance. Before, across the world, people still trembled, hiding in fear. Yet something had shifted. A small spark of hope flickered in their hearts. They had seen the sky burn. They had seen death rain down. But now, for the first time, the enemy's attack had failed. Nobody knew why, but somewhere deep below the surface of the planet, the answer was waking, in a hidden chamber beneath layers of rock. The old general stood in silence, watching the screens light up with data. This base was not known to the public, not even to most of the military. It had no name, no flag, no history in official records. It was the heart of what humans called the Black Program. For decades, whispers had spread about it, rumors of forbidden weapons, of science too dangerous to share. Most dismissed the stories as conspiracy theories. But now, as the Armada above struggled to understand what had happened, the truth revealed itself. The Black Program was real, and it had just saved Earth. The general looked at his team. Scientists and engineers who had given their entire lives to this project, working in silence while the world above forgot about them. Their faces were pale, not from fear, but from years of living underground, away from the sun. Some of them were trembling as the machines around them awakened, humming with a low, unnatural sound. "Initiate Protocol 1, the general said, his voice steady. Fingers danced over keyboards, switches were thrown, and deep within the earth, systems locked away for half a century roared to life. The aliens fired again. Their weapons blazed across the sky, more powerful than before, determined to crush Earth's resistance. But once more their beams scattered into harmless light. This time, however, something else happened. Invisible waves shot back from Earth, striking the alien ships. At first nothing seemed wrong, but then one of the massive fortresses began to tremble. Its lights flickered, its shields collapsed, and then, in complete silence, the entire ship vanished. Not destroyed, not broken into, pieces vanished, erased as if it had never existed. The alien fleet froze. They had fired first, but now something impossible was happening. Something was erasing them. In the underground base, the scientists stared. At their screens, horrified by their own creation, they knew what the Black Program truly was. It was not just a weapon, not just a defense system. It was something far beyond human technology, something built from knowledge recovered long ago from crashed objects humanity was never supposed to find. They had studied, they had built, and they had created a machine that did not fight with bullets or missiles. It rewrote space itself. The aliens thought in terms of shields, armor, and firepower. The Black Program ignored all of it, simply removed them from existence. The general's voice cut through the silence. They wanted war. Now they will have it. His eyes were cold, not with anger, but with a grim acceptance. He had warned governments for years that this day would come. The stars were not empty, that something out there would see humanity as prey. Nobody had listened. Only a handful of leaders had secretly funded the Black Program, hiding it, even from their allies. Now, those years of secrecy stood between humanity and extinction. Up above, the alien fleet scrambled. Ships pulled back, weapons shifted, commands barked across their networks. They had fought hundreds of species across the galaxy. None had ever erased their ships in seconds. For the first time in centuries, fear spread among the invaders.
Out there.
Leaders demanded answers, but no one had them. All they knew was that Earth had awakened something they could not understand. Still, they refused to retreat. Pride, arrogance, and fury held them in place. They had come to conquer, and they would not leave empty-handed. The people of Earth, watching from the ground, did not yet know what was happening. All they saw were flashes in the night sky, massive explosions without sound, and alien ships. Vanishing one by one, panic mixed with awe. Some screamed, some prayed, and some simply stood still, staring in disbelief. The news networks tried to report, but signals were broken, and the world remained half blind. But one thing was clear: Earth was fighting back, and the aliens were bleeding. In the command chamber, one of the scientists whispered, almost to herself, "We were never supposed to use this. If we activate the full system, it could burn more than just the enemy." Her words hung in the air like smoke. Everyone knew what she meant. The Black program was not designed with mercy. It was designed as an endgame, a final answer to any threat. If unleashed completely, it would not only erase the Armada, but perhaps tear apart space itself. But the general did not flinch. "We do not have a choice. If we hesitate, we die. They will not stop until Earth is ash. I will not let humanity end here." The Armada reformed, thousands of ships locking into position, preparing for a full bombardment. Their plan was simple: overwhelm Earth with fire until nothing remained. In their arrogance, they believed no species could stand against such power. But as their weapons charged, Earth's hidden systems pulsed again. A ripple spread across the sky, invisible to the human eye, but deadly to those who dared to hover. Above, the countdown had begun, and as the alien commanders gave the order to fire, the general gave his own command.
I meditate.
Protocol 2
I love the Black program.
roared awake, and the war for Earth truly began. The alien armada filled the skies above Earth. Thousands of ships linked in perfect formation, their weapons glowing brighter than the sun. From the ground, people stared upward in terror as the night sky looked like a ceiling of fire waiting to fall. The aliens had fired first, and now they prepared to unleash their full fury. They believed their numbers and their technology made them invincible. But as they prepared to crush humanity in one final strike, the Black program whispered. Through the void, in the underground command chamber, the old general stood tall. His voice was steady, though. His heart pounded. "They will not understand what comes next," he said. Around him, scientists and officers exchanged nervous glances. Protocol 2 had never been tested in reality. It was theory, numbers on screens, simulations that ended with silence. Yet now it was alive, and the Earth itself seemed to shiver under its power. The aliens fired. Beams of energy, missiles of plasma, and weapons built to erase entire continents surged toward Earth. The world lit up with burning lines of death. Yet before they touched the atmosphere, the sky cracked like glass. Invisible ripples expanded outward, swallowing the alien weapons, and the light bent, the sound vanished, and the attack dissolved into nothing. It was as if reality itself had refused to let the enemy's fire exist. The aliens were stunned. For a heartbeat, they hesitated. And in war, a single heartbeat was enough, Earth answered back. From hidden silos and deep orbital vaults, weapons humanity had never admitted existed came alive. They did not fire rockets or lasers. Instead, they launched spheres of shifting light, silent and fast, that danced through space like predators. They struck the first alien ships with no explosion, no debris. The ships simply blinked out, vanishing from sight as though they had been erased from the universe. One by one, alien fortresses winked out of existence. Whole crews lost in an instant. On the ground, people gasped in disbelief. They had expected to burn, to die under alien fire, but instead, they saw their enemies vanish. Some cheered, some fell to their knees, and some simply wept. Hope, fierce and sudden, began to spread. For the first time since the Armada appeared, humanity felt not like prey, but like hunters. The alien fleet panicked. Orders clashed across their channels. Retreat was demanded by some, revenge by others. They had never faced a weapon they could not resist. Their shields were useless, their armor meaningless, their numbers irrelevant. They fired again, desperate, but the same result came. Their attacks dissolved into harmless light. Counterstrike moved faster, erasing ship after ship with terrifying precision. In the command chamber, the general did not smile. His eyes were hard, his hands gripping the edge of the table. He knew the truth. The Black program was not perfect. Control it was chaos guided by human hands. Every use carried a risk. "Keep firing," he ordered. "Do not let them recover." The scientists obeyed, though fear flickered in their eyes. They understood what was happening. The more the system was used, the more unstable it became. But they had no choice. Survival meant gambling everything above. The battle turned. What had started as an invasion became a slaughter, but not of humanity. Alien ships burst apart, vanished, or fell burning into the oceans. Their formations broke, their pride shattered. In the span of minutes, hundreds of ships were gone. The great armada that had terrified the world was now fighting only to survive. On one of the surviving alien flagships, panic reigned. Their commanders shouted in disbelief. This was not possible. Humanity was young, barely into the stars, still, crawling on its homeworld. How could they wield such power? They demanded answers from their historians, and whispers of an ancient warning rose against warnings that had been ignored. Warnings that said Earth was not to be touched, that if attacked, the species there would unleash something no galaxy could endure. The commanders dismissed the myths as fear. But now they saw the truth. They'd woken the monster down on Earth. Cities still burned from the first strikes. Families mourned, smoke rose, and destruction scarred the land. But humanity was no longer helpless. They'd been hit, but they were still standing. And now, they struck back with fury. Across military bases, soldiers cheered as alien ships fell from the sky. Pilots who had thought they would die in hopeless battles now soared. With pride, watching enemies vanish before their eyes, the world united in that moment, all nations silent under one truth. Humanity was not just surviving, humanity was winning, yet victory came with unease. The control chamber, the scientists warned the general, that Black program's power was spreading beyond their control. Space itself rippled in unnatural ways, and strange readings filled their screens. "If we keep pushing," one whispered, "we may destroy more than just the enemy." But the general did not blink. He looked at the sky, burning with alien fire, and spoke with a voice of iron. "If we do not push, there will be no humanity left to save." The Armada began to retreat. The invincible force that had come to erase Earth now turned in fear, fleeing into the dark void. But the general did not let them go. "Do not stop," he ordered. They fired first. They must learn never to return. The Black program surged again, reaching farther into space, striking ships as they tried to escape. One by one, the giants fell, leaving only silence behind. And as the last alien ship vanished in a ripple of broken light, the world held its breath. Humanity had faced extinction, and instead had erased the greatest armada ever seen. But in the silence that followed, a question lingered in every mind. What had they unleashed, and was it truly under their control? The general looked at the trembling scientists, then at the flickering screens. His words were quiet but heavy. This was only the beginning. The battlefield above Earth was silent now, broken ships drifting like ashes after a storm. The alien armada that once filled the skies was gone, erased in minutes by weapons humanity had kept hidden for decades. On the ground, people stood in shock. Some wept for the cities that had burned under the first strikes. Others cheered the impossible victory. Across the world, screens showed images of alien ships vanishing into nothing, and whispers spread like fire. Humanity had not only survived, they had destroyed the greatest invasion force ever seen. Yet as the smoke cleared, Strange fragments of alien signals were intercepted. They carried no threats, no orders, but something far more unsettling. They were warnings, sent too late. In the underground command chamber, the scientists worked. In silence, decoding the fragments. The general stood behind them, his eyes sharp and cold. He had seen wars before, but nothing like this. He knew victory had come to Isley, and that worried him more than the invasion itself. The aliens had been confident, arrogant. Why would they come to Earth with such certainty if they had known the danger waiting here? Unless perhaps not. All of them had agreed to the attack. The first translation came through. A broken alien voice crackled across the speakers, distorted and weak. "You were warned," we told them. "Do not strike the red world. Do not wake what sleeps." The room went silent. The scientists exchanged uneasy glances. The words carried fear, not anger. Whoever sent them had not been an enemy, but a desperate messenger. The general leaned closer, his jaw tightening. "Play the rest," he ordered. More fragments came through. Some were ancient transmissions, stored in alien archives and sent across their fleet as reminders. They spoke of an old legend that spread across the galaxy, a story told by dying civilizations. Long ago, explorers had come near Earth and never returned. Others who watched from a distance saw flashes of impossible energy, whole fleets vanishing. So the story grew. Earth was not to be touched. The species that lived there appeared primitive, weak, crawling across their soil and sky, but they were protected by something even older. Something that erased all who threatened them. The galaxy had classified Earth as forbidden. But over time, the warning was dismissed as myth, a ghost story told to frighten children. Now, the aliens had learned the truth, the hard way. The scientists shifted uneasily in their chairs. One of them whispered, "We weren't supposed to know this. If these warnings are real, then the Black Program, it's not even ours." Her words made the room colder. The general's eyes narrowed. "It is ours now," he said firmly. But deep down, even he wondered. The machines that had awakened, the systems buried deep below Earth, how much of it had humanity truly built? And how much had simply been assembled from knowledge found, copied, and never fully understood? Meanwhile, across the galaxy, panic spread. Fleets that once laughed at Earth now turned silent. Governments whispered of the Armada's destruction. Whole systems erased in moments. The warning was repeated on every world: do not fire on Earth. Do not test humanity. Some wanted to cut ties forever, but others were tempted. If Earth had such power, then to control it would mean to rule the stars. And already, secret plans began to form in dark chambers, light years away. On Earth, the victory celebrations mixed with grief. Families mourned the dead, cities counted their losses, but everywhere people asked the same question: what had they unleashed? The news spread fast, showing images of alien fortresses dissolving in seconds. At first, pride filled the air. Humanity had stood against the stars and won. But soon, pride turned into unease. If humanity could erase fleets so easily, then what would stop them from turning such power on each other? The Black Program had saved them, but it also carried a shadow in the command chamber. The scientists pressed further into the alien messages. One fragment repeated again and again, as if it was the most important part of the warning. "Red World is not what it seems. Do not make it bleed. If it bleeds, it remembers." The words were strange, but they sent chills through the room. What did it mean? Did the act of firing first awaken something buried in Earth? Something more than machines? Was the Black Program truly human-made, or was it the planet itself that answered?
No.
The general kept his thoughts locked behind his stern face. But when the others were not looking, his hands clenched tight. He had been a soldier his entire life, and he knew the difference between victory and survival. This felt like neither. It felt like opening a door that should have stayed closed. Still, he knew one truth above all others: humanity could never show weakness now. The galaxy was watching. The aliens had learned a lesson, but more would come, and not all would listen to warnings. Humanity had to be ready, far above in the orbit where the Armada once hovered, Strange anomalies lingered. Light bent where ships had been erased, space itself rippling like water disturbed by a stone. Astronomers reported it nervously, not sure if the scars would heal. Some whispered that the black program had not only erased the ships, but torn holes into the very fabric of reality. If so, the war had left wounds that could not easily close. On the streets of Earth, people pointed to the sky with fear and awe. Some saw humanity's rise to greatness. Others saw the birth of a monster. In every nation, leaders gathered in secret rooms, debating what to do next. Some wanted the black program dismantled, fearing what it might do if used again. Others demanded it be expanded, perfected, and unleashed against the galaxy before another enemy dared attack. The world that had united in fear of invasion now risked dividing itself over its new power. And in the dark corners of the decoded alien messages, one final fragment appeared. It was old, older than anything the scientists had seen, its source unknown. The words were simple but heavy. If Earth is attacked, the stars will burn. Not by choice, but by memory. The general stared at those words for a long time. He did not speak, not even when the scientists asked what it meant. He only turned back to the screens, showing the empty sky where the Armada had once been. Humanity had won, but he felt no triumph. Only the weight of something vast and terrible, something that could not be undone. The forgotten warning had been remembered, and now the galaxy would never forget. The ruins of the alien Armada still drifted in Earth's orbit, twisted metal and broken fragments glowing as they burned into the atmosphere. Humanity had won a battle that was supposed to be impossible, but the war was not over. Across the world, people cheered in the streets, celebrating survival, but in the hidden command chambers. The leaders of Earth spoke in hushed voices. The alien warnings still echoed in their minds. Earth was not supposed to be touched. Black program was not supposed to be awakened. Yet it had been, and now the galaxy was watching. The general stood before the council of leaders, his face grim. "We cannot wait for them to return," he said. His voice was steady but carried the weight of iron. "They will not forgive this defeat. They will not forget their dead. If we wait, they will come back with more fleets, stronger, smarter. We must strike first. We must take the fight to them." The chamber filled with silence. Some leaders nodded in agreement. Others looked horrified. One woman finally spoke. "Are you suggesting we invade their worlds? Hunt them down?" General's eyes did not waver. "Yes, if we do not, they will hunt us. Earth has survived, but survival is not enough. We must make sure they never dare again." The room split. Some argued humanity should rebuild, mourn their dead, and prepare defenses. Others agreed with the general. The black program had given them power the galaxy had never seen. To waste it would be foolish. Finally, after hours of debate, the decision was made. Earth would not wait. Humanity would strike back. Preparations began at once. The black program's hidden facilities were expanded. Shipyards long silent roared to life. Old space fleets that had been used only for exploration or defense were armed with new technology drawn from the forbidden systems. For the first time, humanity built not for protection, but for war. Engineers worked day and night. Soldiers trained with a fire in their hearts, and volunteers poured in from every nation. The memory of cities burning drove them forward. One forgot the day the skies turned red in space. The scars of the battle still shimmered. Strange ripples where alien ships had been erased twisted the starlight. Scientists studied them with unease. Some whispered that they were wounds in reality itself, signs that the black program was too dangerous to keep using. But when they brought their concerns to the general, he silenced them with a single line. "Dangerous or not, it is ours, and it is the only reason Earth still breathes." Far beyond Earth, the remnants of the alien fleet fled across the stars. On their homeworlds, panic spread. The empire that had once ruled with fear was now filled with whispers of defeat. Their leaders struggled to hide the truth, but fragments of the battle leaked out. Other species in the galaxy listened, and fear turned to opportunity. Some wanted to distance themselves from the Empire. Others wanted to rise against it. Humanity had shattered the balance of power in a single night. The first human fleet launched within weeks. It was small compared to the alien Armada, but armed with technology that no one else understood. Their mission was simple: track the survivors, find their strongholds, and erase them before they could rebuild. As the ships rose into orbit, the world watched. Families waved flags, children held signs, and soldiers stood tall, ready to carve humanity's name across the stars. For the first time, Earth was not sending explorers. They were sending hunters. The fleet followed the path of the retreating aliens, guided by fragments of broken transmissions. Days turned into weeks as they crossed the void deeper into enemy space. Along the way, they passed abandoned colonies, empty stations, and shattered outposts. Everywhere, signs of alien panic spread. It was clear that humanity's counterstrike had done more than destroy ships. It had broken the invader's spirit. But the general was not satisfied. He stood on the command deck of the lead ship, staring out into the stars. "Fear fades," he said quietly. "They will recover, rebuild, and return, unless we end them completely." His crew listened in silence, each one knowing what he meant. This was not a mission of defense. It was a mission of extermination. At last they reached their first target. A massive alien colony world shimmered below, filled with towers, factories, and warship docks. It was a place where the enemy built their fleets, where countless weapons had been forged. The human fleet held position in silence. For a moment, doubt flickered among the younger soldiers. Was this right? To strike civilians? To bring war? To another homeworld? But the general gave no hesitation. He remembered the burning cities of Earth, the screams of billions, the arrogance of those who fired first. They chose this war, he said. Now they will see it end. The Black Program activated again, its silent energy spreading across the void. On the planet below, alarms screamed. Alien commanders rushed to prepare defenses, but it was too late. One by one, their war factories vanished, their fleets erased before they could launch. Towers crumbled into nothing, whole cities swallowed by invisible fire. The ground itself trembled as if reality was tearing apart. Colony was gone, not conquered, but erased. Leaving only an empty scar where a world once stood, the human fleet watched in silence. Some cheered, others turned away in horror. They had not expected such total destruction. Yet the general stood firm. "This is the price of firing first at Earth," he said. His words echoed across the fleet, and though fear lingered, no one spoke against him. They had begun the hunt, and there was no turning back. As the fleet moved deeper into alien space, more colonies fell, more strongholds vanished. Humanity, once seen as weak and young, now moved like a storm, erasing everything. In its path, across the galaxy, the legend spread. A new name was whispered in fear: the Red World, the world that erases. But even as victory followed victory, unease grew among the scientists who traveled with the fleet. The Black Program left scars wherever it was used, holes in space that did not close. Strange lights flickered near them. Whispers carried through static, as if the universe itself was beginning to resist. Some feared they were unleashing something even worse than the aliens. Yet the general's orders never changed. Hunt them, erase them, leave nothing behind. And so the hunt began. Humanity was no longer defending. Humanity was becoming the monster the galaxy had always feared. The human fleet moved deeper into alien space, its presence like a shadow spreading across the stars. Every world they reached fell silent. Colonies vanished, outposts dissolved, entire fleets erased without leaving wreckage. The Black Program was merciless. It did not conquer. It did not enslave. It simply removed. The galaxy had seen wars before, but never like this. No treaties, no prisoners, no mercy, just silence where life once was. With each victory, the legend of Earth grew darker. On Earth, the people watched from afar. News broadcasts showed flashes of disappearing worlds, alien fleets erased in moments, and triumphant human ships returning with no losses. First, there was pride. Families cheered, children drew pictures of ships destroying enemies, and the world felt untouchable. But pride soon gave way to unease. Mothers asked if their sons were still soldiers or if they had become something worse. Fathers who had once cheered began to grow quiet. The celebrations grew smaller. Deep down, humanity began to wonder if they were winning or if they were losing something greater. In the command chamber of the flagship, the general stood before a wall of maps showing alien territory. Almost half of the enemy empire was already gone. He looked at the blinking lights marking their strongholds. "We finished this," he said. His voice was iron. Every world, every fleet, every outpost. They must be erased from the stars. His officers hesitated, but none dared argue. They remembered Earth burning. They remembered the first strike. The aliens had started this war, and now humanity would end it. Yet the scientists on board whispered in secret. Each time the black program was used, the scars grew wider. Space twisted, bent, and sometimes shattered in ways that could not be explained. Strange pulses of energy rippled across the void, causing instruments to fail and crew to hear whispers that were not there. One scientist recorded a fragment of sound that seemed to echo inside the static of the black program's waves. It was not alien. It was not human. It was something older, deeper, as if the universe itself was speaking. But when she tried to show the general, he refused to listen. "This is war," he said, "and war does not wait for questions." The alien empire made one final stand. Their remaining fleets gathered around their capital world, a planet of silver towers and oceans that shimmered with light. Billions of soldiers, countless warships, and weapons designed over centuries of conquest stood ready. Across their cities, the people prayed and cried, knowing humanity was coming. Their leaders sent desperate messages into the void, not of surrender, but of pleading. "Stop," the transmissions begged. The warning was true. "You are not meant to do this. If you continue, you will bring ruin not just to us, but to yourselves." But humanity did not stop. The human fleet arrived, its ships black against the stars, engines burning like cold fire. The general gave the order, and the black program awakened once more. The alien fleet charged, firing everything they had, but their weapons dissolved before reaching human ships. Their shields cracked, their formations broke. Great vessels vanished, erased in silence. The capital planet trembled as the waves spread. Towers fell without rubble, oceans evaporated without steam, and entire cities blinked out of existence. In less than an hour, the empire that had ruled the stars for centuries was gone. Humanity had erased them. The fleet stood in silence, staring at the empty space where a civilization had once lived. Some cheered, but their voices were hollow. Others stared with wide, haunted eyes. It seemed victory, but also annihilation. The black program had left another scar in the void, larger than any before, a wound that bled strange light. Instruments failed, stars around the region dimmed, and the whispers grew louder. It was as if something ancient had awakened fully, watching. On Earth, the Council of Leaders received the report. Officially, it was called the greatest victory in human history. Unofficially, some wept. An empire had been erased, not defeated. There would be no surrender, no peace, no rebuilding, just silence. The galaxy reacted with terror. Worlds that had once ignored Earth now kept their distance. Some swore never to approach the Red World. Others began planning not to attack, but to survive whatever humanity was becoming. The warning was no longer forgotten. It was carved into the stars. Never fire first at Earth, but inside the hidden chambers where the black program pulsed, the scientists trembled. The readings showed something terrible. Each time the weapon was used, the universe bent closer to breaking. They tried to warn the general, tried to warn the council, but the truth was clear. No one wanted to hear it. Humanity had tasted absolute power, and once tasted, it could not be forgotten. The general stood alone in the command deck, staring into the void. His face was unreadable, his eyes fixed on the scar left where the alien capital had been. He whispered, to himself, words no one else could hear. "They fired first." We answered, But what have we become? He closed his eyes for a moment, then turned back to his crew. His voice was strong, unyielding. Set course. The galaxy will remember what happens when you strike at Earth. And so, it was done. The alien empire was erased from the stars, their name forgotten, their people gone. The galaxy trembled, not just at the power of humanity, but at the shadow it had awakened. Humanity had survived, but the question remained, at what cost? In the silence of the scarred void, something unseen stirred. The whispers grew louder. Carried on the fabric of broken space, humanity thought they had won a war. Perhaps they had only opened the first door.